Yes, my friends, it's time to take a look at an affordable yet elegant PC case with a good feature set at first glance. But there surely need to be downsides, and in fact, yes, there are. Today we're talking about the candidate going by the name of Zalman Z3 Iceberg White. So it's obviously the white version. Those that prefer a more neutral look could just grab the black version of the very same case. At a price of around $70 right now, this in my books is one of the more cheaper, more affordable PC cases out there. And let me put it this way, the Z3 Iceberg does come with both massive strengths, but also one or the other painful weakness. What those are, you'll find out in today's video. Included, besides all the usual stuff, such as the manual and screws, are 2 expansion slot covers, which makes me expect something not so nice. Anyway, aesthetically, the Z3 Iceberg certainly meets my taste. The design is kept nice, simple, and elegant, exactly what I'm into. In terms of airflow, certainly not the very best solution out there, but not bad either with those air vents directly on the front panel and sides of it, allowing for fresh air to be drawn in. In the $70 price range, we unfortunately far too often need to expect subpar choice of materials and rather thin steel coming into play. With the Z3 Iceberg, that's luckily not the case at all. While the front cover may be out of plastic, the remaining steel is of reasonably good quality for said price point. That same type of quality vibe that 4mm thick tempered glass panel sets off. What stands out positively is the wide range of motherboards being supported here, even including eATX to a certain extent, and the fact that a lot of fans can be installed into this case. What I'm also happy about here is that there's not just a rear pre-installed 120mm Argb lit fan, but a front one too, doing a nice job of getting fresh air in. Needless to say, Zalman has also put some thought into radiator support, so there's room for up to a 360 or 280mm radiator in the front and up to a 240mm one at the top. Now the case isn't fully equipped with rubber grommets, although the most important aspects are covered, which in the $70 price tier sadly isn't something we can take for granted yet. Unfortunately, it seems Zalman had to cut costs somewhere, and so they've sacrificed reusable expansion slot covers. So like 20 years ago, we have to break those out the old-fashioned way. You know my stance on that, this really isn't up to date. Still, I appreciate the manufacturer not fully letting us down by at least including 2 reusable expansion slot covers. Behind the front panel cover is hiding a long magnetic dust filter. Same thing applies for the top, except that the filter is actually kept in white for the white version of the case, not black as many other brands do it. At the case's bottom for the power supply, we once again get one of those measly small removable dust filters. Well, let's put it this way, it does get the job done. What really elevates the Z3 Iceberg from the rest, even including $100+ models, is the fact that we get a total of 4 2.5-inch trays for SSDs, for instance, already included. That's 2 on the PSU shroud and the conventional ones behind the motherboard tray. I really dig that. Furthermore, those trays on the PSU shroud could also make room for up to 2 120mm fans. That's not too shabby either, considering the price point. Of course, there's also a traditional hard drive cage in here, holding up to a single 3.5-inch drive by tray. However, by loosening a few screws, that cage can slightly be repositioned, removed, or you mount either a 3.5 or 2.5-inch drive onto it. I'd also like to share a few words about the Argb Lighting, since Zalman equips this Z3 Iceberg with a nice magnetic controller, which connects to its own separate LED button at the front I/O, meaning the reset button has not been sacrificed. The great thing about the controller is that there are 2 available headers we can make use of. To top things off, each of the already pre-connected Argb fans allows for extension by a single connector respectively. Really nice that the manufacturer does allow for this kind of extension, which also becomes apparent after seeing that cable for synchronizing the lighting with our motherboards. A small round of applause for that. Now, what are my experiences building into the Z3 Iceberg? As a matter of fact, I can tell you that I didn't run into any difficulties. For the most part, everything seems to be well thought out. Clearance issues, at least with my test hardware, there were none. Even the top-mounted 240mm radiator doesn't interfere with any of my motherboard's heatsinks, since the mounting holes have been moved slightly sideways. Still, you should probably watch out with extremely long graphics cards, since the max length can only be 315mm here, so be cautious when having a radiator mounted to the front. As for fan noise, I can say nice things, since the pre-installed fans at the right settings are almost whisper quiet. Surprisingly, one can do a fairly good job with cable management in here, even though it's always my lack of patience and talent that holds back any PC case I test. So the bottom line is, the advantages far outweigh any drawbacks. To sum things up, one could say that the Z3 Iceberg in white offers fairly good build quality, is rich in fan and drive mounting points, comes with 2 decent pre-installed fans, and partially comes equipped with rubber grommets. Last but not least, modern hardware seems to go really well with this case, keyword eATX motherboards. Reason for far less enthusiasm are the drawbacks, such as the slightly subpar airflow and those non-reusable expansion slot covers, albeit Zalman does help us out a bit with the latter. Other than that, the case certainly impresses, and in my opinion, is a very nice deal at a price point of about $70. For sure, a good price to performance ratio. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and take care out there.